Hey party people, we are reading the Quran. We are finishing up Yasin. We are on Surah 36, starting on sign Ayat verse 71. See they not that it is we who have created for them among the things which our hands have fashioned cattle which are under their dominion, and that we have subjected them to their use. Of them some do carry them, and some they eat, and they have other profits from them besides, and they get milk to drink. Will they not then be grateful? Yet they take for worship gods other than Allah, hoping that they might be helped. They have not the power to help them, but they will be brought up before our judgment seat, as a troop to be condemned. Let not their speech then grieve thee. Verily we know what they hide as well as what they disclose. Doth not man see that it is we who created him from sperm? Yet behold, he stands forth as an open adversary. And he makes comparisons for us and forgets his own origin and creation. He says, who can give life to dry bones and decomposed ones at that? Say, he will give them life who created them for the first time, for he is well versed in every kind of creation. The same who produces for you fire out of the green tree, when behold, ye kindle therewith your own fires, is not he who created the heavens and the earth able to create the like thereof? Yea, indeed, for he is the Creator supreme of skill and knowledge, infinite. Verily he intends a thing, his command is, be, and it is. So glory to him in whose hands is the dominion of all things, and to him will ye be all brought back. Oh, that's the end of Yasin, so I'll go back and review what I underlined. So on 60, it said, did I not enjoin on you, O ye children of Adam, that ye should not worship Satan, for that he was to you an enemy avowed? Then on 61, and that ye should worship me, for that this was the straight way. 62, but he did lead astray a great multitude of you. Did ye not then understand? This is the hell of which ye were repeatedly warned. Embrace ye the fire this day, for that ye persistently rejected the truth. It's interesting. You know, when it says like worship Satan, right? So recently, I've been thinking of different forms of worship, but I know we covered like how certain celebrities are worshipped. And there's not necessarily a new comedian, but she's very like outspoken. Her name is Michelle Wolf. And she had a stand-up special where she had this whole bit about how great her abortion was, right? So this kind of sparked outrage, and there's this movement in the United States of a darker way of the abortion issue. And now you have people on the hashtags on Twitter saying, shout your abortion. There's t-shirts that are made with the coat hanger symbol. I don't know if you've ever been to the dry cleaner. You get those metal coat hangers. I guess graphic. Women used to use that to force an abortion on themselves. And now people put that symbol on their shirts. Now, statistically, most of the women put down they're too poor to have children, and that's why they got it. It's usually not, the percentage is less than 3%, those of self-reported rape claims of underage girls, right? It's usually women in the ages of like 22 to 30, and some of them have serial abortions, right? So I went down this rabbit hole of hearing the pro-life side. Now, again, I'm pro-choice. I think that it should be legal, safe, and rare. It should be for real victims, not just like a form of birth control, right? But there's this documentary called The Silent Scream, and an abortion doctor who did 60,000 abortions. He repented, confessed, and changed his life and went over to Catholicism, right? There's a documentary I watch, and it's It's pretty dark, right? But it's actually very scientific and actually very informative and educational. And it makes you see it for what it is, right? Especially when they claim it's just cells, but then on the screen, the actual abortion doctor who changed his view shows you that it's not just a bunch of cells, right? It's very dark. I know this is a dark topic, but I'm going to show you how it made me think of this verse in the Quran. Because now celebrities are, even politicians, Hillary Clinton, Planned Parenthood, NARAL, it's gone beyond the point of, like, okay, you have the legal right. Now it's like a cultural right. So, I don't know if you know this app called TikTok, but these teenage girls, I shared it on social media, it's all over Twitter, it's pretty viral. They film themselves like going like this and like looking down at their stomachs and being like, I'm gonna go to the abortion clinic, and they're like celebrating it, joking about it, right? And so many people are like, wow, we've really gone astray. Because now it's not simply, oh, you need this emergency help, or there's something medically wrong with you and you must say goodbye to the life. No, now it's like a celebratory, cult of death worshipping thing, right? And Sarah Silverman too, there's been this movement where more and more women are like saying, like, really glorifying taking a life, right? It's really gone above and beyond. So I went down this rabbit hole, watched this documentary, and when it says like on 61, like, you should worship me the straight way, the straight path, right? And you're like, wow, look how the culture is veering off into this death cult. It's so dark. And I've been watching these testimonials of workers who worked in Planned Parenthood and describe what they saw and how their psychology and the atmosphere of a baby killing factory, right, basically they called it, is very dark, right? And then how those businesses, Planned Parenthood, makes about $500 each woman, so it's very profitable, and then they sell the parts and they make even more money, right? So it really got me thinking about, like, the whole, like, when they say, like, you shouldn't worship Satan, he's a vowed enemy to you, right? So it just really got me thinking, like, what is something in society that we worship that is leading us down a dark path, like what the Quran is pointing out? And then when it says, like, this is the hell of which you were repeatedly warned, right? Like, so many people are like, hey man, there's a lot of psychological effects that are gonna go above and beyond what the people who are leading you astray are saying, right? It's not gonna make you feel powerful. It has deeper effects than that, even if you try to suppress it, right? And it's interesting how one of the Planned Parenthood workers, she said that she feels guilty about how she used to help convince women to get abortions. And she did that to over 1,000 women. And how she said the burden of that, even though she's repented and changed her life, it's heavy, right? It's so heavy. And she's like, this is how the culture is, like, very, like, yay, and, like, certain feminists are just like, this is so glorious, this is real power. And then what's even more darker, right, is that some of the doctors, when they say they changed their life, they said it made them feel powerful to take a life, that they knew how to do it. It's really dark. So I think it's just amazing when we really think about the different worshiping forms of the dark energy of Satan, right? Because it's, some people think Satanism today would just be people wearing black makeup and, you know, having a bunch of piercings on their face, when those are just goth rockers, right? But I think the real form is, like, kind of what that abortion doctor described. So if you want to watch that, it's called The Silent Scream, and it's very dark, but I think it's highly educational for us to look how this death cult, the smiting of souls, is very dark, right? And I'm just really started thinking about it. So I mean, wow, because it says here, he did lead astray a great multitude of you, right? A great, if you look at the statistics on Google Google how many abortions are performed in the United States. The numbers are astounding. And then tag on $500 usually per person, and then find out that tax dollars in certain states pay for that. If the person is under 13, there's this thing where it can be government funded. So I found that to be interesting. And then what's even more dark, as I started learning, is that in some states, you don't need a parental permission if you're underage to get an abortion. You can get an abortion without your parents ever finding out. And I thought that was really dark. And then they said that there were some school counselors who helped their students who came to them get these abortions behind their parents' back. And it's very dark, right? So it's like, some people think of like Satan as like this boogeyman with a pointed tail who just pops out at you and pokes you with a pitchfork. But I think like the expressions of it, like I think most of us realize, is very different. And what could be darker than a factorized profit-making machine that makes money off of vulnerable women? And it's really, really dark. So when they say like a great multitude are being led astray, some of us might, we look at the tiny examples, but if you look at the bigger examples, like the abortion issue, how it's really trendy and popular now. There's even jewelry made, there's pins made, people are making money off of this. That to me is this, when they talk about on 62, a great multitude led astray, right? And these women talk about how they're haunted by nightmares. They're just like, wow, and like, it's interesting. And then on 65, when it says, that day shall we set a seal on their mouths, but their hands will speak to us, and their feet will bear witness to all that they did. One of the abortion doctors, there was several methods. I won't get into detail. I don't want to gross you out in case you're eating your lunch. But I guess one of them, he had done over 2,000 abortions. But when he saw how the fetus was trying to escape his tools, and it was like 12, 13 weeks old, but it was intelligent enough to move away because it realized something was in its sanctuary, that when he saw that, he became truly disgusted and had to step out of the room when they were doing the editing for the film, for the documentary, The Silent Scream, and he had to go out and be like, ugh. And that is interesting too, because it's like, he got to see what his hands were doing, right? Not just the tongue of like, kick it in the thing and that's put your legs up, blah, 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 blah. No. He had to see what he was doing in a different way, and it made him sick. So imagine on Judgment Day, what these like certain celebrities making this popular, trendy, cool, and these social media platforms allowing women to post such dark things. I believe in freedom of speech. However, they censored political speech far more than these darker themed ones, which shows you there's an agenda. You can brag about killing a baby, but you can't argue economics on certain immigrational or, I don't know, infrastructure bills, whatever, right? There's censorship that happens, right? And so all these people who are helping the great multitude be led astray will have to have that type of bear witness, which is dark. What do you think? Let me know.